the recording, J. Baba All, and we'll begin with Norina's gift.
We begin with the blue bus because that's where it's happening. All women squeezed in the bus where Baba gave Norina and Elizabeth the assignment of doing the Meher Baba journals, So it was the go-ahead for Norina to share what was coming through her intuitively.
So I wanted to read, too, from the preface. This is written by Charles and Christopher. The beautiful and powerful messages of Meher Baba received through Princess Norina Matchabelli nearly 50 years ago still speak directly to the receptive heart. They remain today timeless expressions of love and wisdom. This volume contains two extraordinary collections of these messages, fragments of a spiritual diary and the 40 messages from Meher Baba. Both books were compiled in 1948 while Norina resided in India with Meher Baba and were then published soon after her return to the United States in 1949. Now, during the year that marks the 40th anniversary of Princess Norina Matchabelli's death, Eleanor Publications is pleased to make these works available to a new generation of spiritual aspirants. We include in the present volume an introduction exploring Norina's life and work. Much of the material in this opening section draws upon her previously unpublished papers and photographs. We owe the gift of the new material about Norina, as well as the founding of Eleanor Publications, to Jane Barry Haynes. Several years ago, Jane entrusted us with the task of preserving and cataloging the collection of Norina's papers and photographs. Before her death in April of 1997, Jane gave her approval to the present volume and expressed her wish that we continue to make Norina's papers available through publication. This, then, is the first of a planned series of books that will contain the papers and journals of Norina Matchabelli. We acknowledge with much gratitude the editorial help of Kendra Cross and Burroughs. Kendra's insight and guidance have been indispensable every step of the process. We are also grateful to the creative contributions of Steve Dyer for this book design and typesetting by Graciela Gallup for her jacket design. Many others have given us loving help and support, including Wendy and Buzz Connor, Patty Cavender, Dixon Withers Julian, and Steve Edelman. Special mention should be made of the generous contributions of time and energy by Hugh and Suzanne McClenahan, who have undertaken an enormous task of distribution of Eleanor Publications. Their labor of love will make the dissemination of this book possible. Finally, we acknowledge with deepest gratitude the Eleanor of Eleanor Publications, Elizabeth Patterson and Norina Matchabelli, who will always be remembered as living examples of Meher Baba's love. Christopher Wilson, Charles Haynes, July 26, 1997. All right.
The introduction. The life and work of Princess Norina Matchabelli, March 3, 1880 to June 15, 1957, by Christopher Wilson and Charles Haynes. Princess Norina Matchabelli was one of the most compelling and significant of Meher Baba's first Western disciples. Today, however, she is one of the least known and understood. Her writings are long out of print, and the few stories told of her do little to illuminate her pivotal role in Baba's work. In spite of her relative obscurity, Norina's legacy lives on. All who visit Mayher Spiritual Center in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the place Mayher Baba called his home in the West, experience her love for Baba reflected in the beauty of the grounds and buildings, which he did so much to create. And all who love and follow Meher Baba in America are heirs to Norina's unique efforts to spread his message of love and truth in the United States.
Diana, yeah. Now, 40 years
Okay,
after her
I
death.
got it. I just had to
Okay.
unmute. Now, 40 years after her death, the time seems right for a fuller appreciation of how Norina worked for the one she took to be the living Christ, the avatar of this age. Perhaps today, more of humanity is better prepared to grasp the inner meaning and significance of the extraordinary thought transmission messages that are reprinted in these pages. After all, in these final years of the 20th century, we appear to be drawing ever closer to the age of intuition promised by Meher Baba. It is through intuition, the capacity to hear the inner voice, that these messages can be received and grasped deep within the heart. The experience of listening to the language of Norina's thought transmission may be enhanced by knowing more of the context of her life and work. To that end, we offer the following brief account of one of the most remarkable women of the 20th century. The progression of her outer life from world-renowned actress and film star to co-founder of a famous perfumery to spiritual disciple is a fascinating backdrop to the inner life that produced the thought transmission messages from Meher Baba.
Ave Maria, Princess Norina in the Miracle. Norina Gilli was born in Florence, Italy on March 3, 1880. Her father, Ludovico Gilli, was a native of Florence, and her mother, Emma Trolle, was born in Winterthur, Switzerland. We know little about Norina's childhood, beside the fact that she spent large amounts of time with one of her uncles, Henrik Wolflin, 1864 to 1945, who, because of his pioneering studies of Renaissance and Baroque art, is regarded as one of the founders of the modern field of art history. Wolflin's influence must have shaped some of the educated artistic taste that Norina was to exercise throughout her life, both in her theater and film career, when her gestures sometimes echoed those of figures in Baroque religious paintings, and later in life in the development and beautification of the Mayher Spiritual Center in Myrtle Beach. It must have been during those early years that Norina also began to acquire her extraordinary linguistic skills. Her journals and correspondence reveal that she was able to write not only in her native Italian, but also in French, German, and English. Her fluency in these languages became especially valuable many years later when she traveled throughout Europe with Meher Baba and contacted individuals of different nationalities to come and meet him.
The defining event of Norina's early life occurred in 1911, when, using the stage name Maria Carmi, she played the role of the Madonna in the London premiere of the mystery play, The Miracle. This pantomime with music was the collaboration of three men: the author, Karl Wallmuller, then Norina's husband, who adapted the story from a medieval legend about a statue in a Rhenish convent that miraculously comes to life. The composer Engelbert Humperdinck, a former musical assistant of Richard Wagner's, best known for his opera Hansel and Gretel, 1893, and the great theatrical and operatic producer Max Reinhardt, who in the same year as the Miracle's first performance also staged the premiere of Richard Strauss's opera Der Rosenkavalier, 1911. Norina played the role of the statue of the Virgin Mary, or the Madonna, which becomes human in order to take the place of a nun who has fled the convent in pursuit of worldly experiences. At the play's conclusion, the nun returns, and the Madonna once again becomes a statue. Among Norina's greatest challenges in this part was that of standing perfectly still, statue-like, for extended periods of time, and then convincingly enacting the transformation from hieratic statue to the warm, feeling figure of Mary, a metamorphosis conveyed entirely through silent movement. At the time she was cast in the part, Norina was not only without acting experience, she was also in poor physical health, suffering from tuberculosis. In a brief account written years later, she described this period of her life. It pleases me to tell you a little anecdote of my past life. When I was a young woman lying in a sanatorium in Switzerland for 3 years, the verdict that the greatest authorities at that time gave was hopeless case. I knew about their decision and apparently took it easily because I did not want to believe it. A shock-like event brought about the turning point in my life. Most unexpectedly, through coincidences too long to describe, maybe to my first marriage, I was offered to personify the part of the Mother of Christ in a so-to-say spiritual pantomime called The Miracle in London. I was not an actress, nor did I care to become one, but the adventure caught my spirit so strongly that I evaded the sanatorium and fled to London. This unusual event in my life determined from its beginning my search for the spiritual solution of life. This tremendous shock given to my creative urge of living healed me from consumption. Man is constituted with remarkable reserves of power. Of course, when I was a young woman, today I am just as alive as I was then, only my field of activities is different. Diana, you want to read?
When first preparing the role, Norina became overwhelmed by the task ahead of her, and her trepidation and inexperience caused tensions at rehearsals. She wrote, "Unwilling, almost unconscious, I was placed in the center of the greatest stage in the world, the Olympia Hall in London. I did not know how to act. I was about to be resigned by the great director M.R., that's Max Reinhardt, who had so heartedly hoped to discover in me the talent he had suspected. Then came the turning point when, as she expressed it, the Mother of Christ became alive within her and taught her how to perform the part. Begin quotation. I became the medium of the unfathomable will of the Mother Principle, performing through me in ways I was unconscious of. Close quote. Suddenly, Norina knew how to move on stage. Her own inner experience of the role was projected outward, making a great impact on the audience. She described the performance in these words. The compassionate mother so often spoke within me in verse while moving on the stage. The verse, prompting emotion, increased the intense experience, and her word in love released in me a rhythm that created the aloof step for which so many artists, teachers interviewed me and tried to understand and wanted to adopt. This performance arose unexpected soul benefits. The compassionate mother through me healed. I have seen with mine own eyes the blue light's vibrations pouring out of my inner core and reaching some unknown subject in the audience and be consciously received. I have been through her grace throughout the performance of this long-lasting play, her imitation.
Norina's performance enthralled not only the audience, but also the critics, who praised her performance for its haunting beauty. On January 31st, 1912, an article appeared in the London newspaper with the headline, "The Perfect Botticelli Face, The Miracle's Madonna." No figure in the miracle has caused greater interest than the very beautiful one of the Madonna, and much praise has been given to Maria Carney, not only for the perfection of her posing, but for her dignified conception of the part. For some time, the identity of Maria Carney was a secret. Now she stands revealed as Mrs. Carl Vollmuller, the wife of the author of the mystery play. In an interview given to the Evening Standard recently, she said, "I am an Italian and an Italian Catholic. For this part, I have made no special study, neither in the art galleries nor elsewhere. My conception of the part of the Madonna is in no sense German. It is purely Italian. The part is perhaps a difficult one, but I adore it. It is not until the two performances of the day are over that I feel the extraordinary strain of sitting absolutely still for nearly 3 hours and a half." The same paper continues, "In my opinion, of many who have seen Maria Carney, she has a perfect Botticelli face, such as may be seen in the National Gallery. But no one, not even the artist herself, can explain the haunting, semi-tragic, half-pathetic smile which lights up her features throughout the performance." In February of 1912, when the time came for Norina to leave England in order to perform under Reinhardt's direction in Berlin, the London reviewer Sir Claude Phillips offered his enthusiastic farewell.
It would surely be ungracious to allow her to depart without some words of fervent, heartfelt thanks for a performance of haunting beauty, which has quietly yet irresistibly made its appeal to the public, enthralling lovers of true art and spiritual beauty, and leaving an impression in the truest sense of the word, indelible. It is in no spirit flattery, but in recognition of a great artistic achievement, lifted into higher regions by something more potent than mere technical perfection, that we express our gratitude. The Miracle's success launched Norina's career as a prominent stage and film actress. Between the years 1914 and 1921, still using the name Maria Carmi, she starred in over 25 Italian and German silent films. The most noted of these were Teresa Racine and Sperduti nel Buio. During this period, she divorced Wallmuller and, in 1916, married Prince George Matchabelli, a distinguished diplomat and national hero of his native Georgia. Prince and Princess Matchabelli moved in 1924 to New York, where Norina again portrayed the Madonna in the American production of The Miracle. Altogether, she performed this part, her signature role, over 1,000 times in Europe and the United States. In New York, she joined the faculty of the Theater Arts Institute, where she taught pantomime. During the 1920s, Norina and George established their own business, the Prince Matchabelli Perfumery Incorporated. The business was extremely successful, earning a reputation as one of the 5 top perfumeries in the world. Diana?
Norina's fame and beauty contributed to the popularity of the Matchabelli products. 2 fragrances, Ave Maria and Princess Norina, were advertised with a photograph of Norina wearing her costume from The Miracle. After George's death in 1935, Norina sold her share in the perfumery and gave the proceeds from the sale to Meher Baba for his work. These funds were used to establish Baba's ashram in Nasik, India, where many of his Western disciples, including Norina herself and Elizabeth Patterson, lived for nearly a year. Shall I go on?
Yeah.
Okay. Nur Jahan, this is the title, Nur Jahan, disciple of Meher Baba. Norina met Meher Baba during his first visit to the United States in November 1931 at Harmon-on-Hudson, New York. The only existing account of this meeting was written by Jean Adriel, the person who first told Norina about Meher Baba and his much anticipated visit to America. And this is, I guess, Jean Adriel. The day before leaving for Harmon to prepare the house for the great event, I spent the afternoon with my friend Norina Matchabelli, who had just returned to town. I had written her of our prospective plans. First, of our hope of going to England, later of Baba's impending visit to America. With searing sarcasm, but more than usual emotional restraint, Norina pried me with questions and wound up by asking, "Who is this master at whose feet you worship?" I tried to convey to her the little I had heard and read about Baba and the abundance my heart had told me. She listened for about 10 minutes, then pacing back and forth the length of the living room, she upbraided me. "How can you worship at the feet of any man? even though he calls himself a master. Women like ourselves, who have had such deep inner experiences, need no man to show us the way to God. How can you allow yourself to be drawn into such foolishness? I waited until her torrent of disapproval had run its course. Then quietly, I told her that I felt strongly impelled to follow my own inner prompting, which I knew to be the deepest intuition of my life. One of the things I had told Norina about Baba was the extraordinary phenomenon of tears, which Mr. Watson and many others had experienced upon first meeting the master. So, as I bid her goodbye, she laughingly remarked, "Well, when your master arrives, I must meet him. I, too, would like to weep."
Let's stop there. And go to the article. So this is the first article in the Meher Baba journals, Sri Meher Baba Impressions. It is the end of a cycle in evolution. We know that the spiritual awakening of the world gives new evidence.
It's not on the screen. It's not on the screen.
Okay, sorry. Let me pause. Am I recording? Can you tell whether I'm recording, Diana?
Yes, you are.
I am recording. Okay.
Well, yeah, the recording. I believe so.
Okay. Sorry for
Yes.
the delay there. So this is the first article by Norina Matchabelli in the Meher Baba journals. Sri Meher Baba Impressions by Princess Norina Matchabelli. It is the end of a cycle in evolution. We know that the spiritual awakening of the world gives new evidence in exchange of consciousness. The urge in mankind is to see and find truth, is deep and creative. The new intuition in man to know and find God within is pure. The time in its divine outward phase is sure in pain, pure in lure to move out of darkness. We need to rely on the alive performing example of God. We can no more be sure with the deluding impersonal experience within. We can no more rely on secondhand information. We have no further proof than our own self-deluding experiences of the mind. We have no further individual ambition in our own human than to be I and to magnify the I for the I's sake. We have exhausted ourselves in love emotion, and our love's motive is barren, cold, unsatisfied. The need in man to love more unselfishly is imperative.
We are stranded by established theological dogmas, looking backwards on past gods. Man is jealous, in competition of the saviors of others. They create churches and religions to exploit individual devotion. Man's spiritual impulse has become sterile, blinded and beaten by the outward sensationalism of life and the mental creative tendency to exaggerate. Man has lost the vision of simplicity of the heart. We need to realize the truth. We need to see impersonal devotion. We need to feel sincere kindness. We need to realize virtue without self-satisfaction. We want to see true charity, which is giving in full conscious accordance with the knowing heart. We need to see pure sacrifice, which redeems. We have to learn how to render love for hate. We have to recognize the law's supreme, pure work through the opposites. We have to recognize the mind's stagnant views of faults and good. We want the free interpretation of good. The wonders of divine love have been brought down to us through the Gospels. But again and again, mankind longs for the tangible example of that divine impulse of joy, like Krishna with his benign wonders of mercy, forgiveness, tolerance, and the selflessness of Jesus. The reincarnation of the love master of all time is alive amongst us. He is gradually unfolding in the immature heart of man the divine immutable grace of love. Near him, we who come from all parts of the world meet on the only unprejudiced ground, the merciful heart of the beloved. This universal heart that expresses its divine existence through the vehicle of the unselfish, perfect human we need to worship. Sri Meher Baba professes and practices today in eloquent silence the awakening of the consciousness of the heart. The indivisible bond in man will be aware in being. The new design in being is to unite in the one only God. Men of all castes and all religions will see the manifesting only God in the new conscious form in being.
Diana?
Okay, would you like me to read the title? Because I think you went
No,
past.
it's continue. The text continues, so we don't.
Oh, okay, sorry. Got it. It is the new life in external perpetual opposition that in being and I conscious, indivisible in him who is our own very being, has come to the pure point of new awareness. This new form in conscious order in man, he, as the pure power, is stirring, awakening. He creates the opposing order when men in themselves become indifferent and satiated with life inert within. We become, under his guidance, the alive being in constant adjustment. The indispensable strife in life he can accentuate if need be. He can arouse the divine theme in any individual. Our mind, that busy factory of habit thoughts, misery, illusionary schemes of material happiness, making us feel separate creatures with separate lives, with separate goals, with expectation of reward for our good and bad deeds. These he will transmute in new conscious order in idea and make man see and know and feel. In the self-ordering state, in new awareness of truth within, men will feel equal. Men will have confidence in each other. He will bring fulfillment. He will bring to fulfillment the human being who will create better living conditions in the world.
A joyful pilgrimage towards God in life in action for Him. A joyful pilgrimage towards God is life in action for Him. No one but He, the perfect one, can assure in us the old faith, which is infallible wisdom. God in His abstract state of Om will remain mental illusion until one like Him gives us the experience of God as the living reality. When the personal, impersonal God appears, it is the tangible sign for man to make good. That time is on. It is now. We need to be in readiness to react for the pure exchange. When Sri Meher Baba took upon himself the superhuman self-imposed sacrifice of silence that until now has lasted over 13 years, he did it to serve the divine plan, to benefit mankind. Operating within, he fulfills the one way towards union, which we, by the use of mind, by finite dual thinking order, too easily counteract. Being in us life, truth in being order, he can within readjust the pearl's aim, and that is the straight one way to God.
His instrument to operate with is life itself. Life, positive and negative, as the opposites that we call unconditional form in strife to evolve into the one all state that is pure. He, designing into our intuition, does the new stir. The truth in its one all-fulfilling plan achieves the exchange in consciousness. Traveling in foreign lands and walking through streets which have no other importance than to be the accumulation of the masses driven in self-experience by the illusion-making mind, he, the unfathomable all fate, causes the inevitable evolution. Moving about like any ordinary human being, he uses motor cars, trains, airways. He lives in small huts, in luxurious abodes. He communes with the rich and with the poor. He uses the crude energy of the masses, and he searches out of the individual the more subtle contribution. The expansion of human qualities, jealousy, hate, anger, lust, are the impure work in our spiritual soil. Vice and deprivation are the manure he uses to fertilize the spiritual show in advancement. He removes fear through the awakening life in being that in itself is the state of fearless, pure existence, wherein one experiences security, safety, hope. He awakens in us the optimism that results from this knowing experience. We realize that we are part in him in being, which is divine. He forms in us a life of hope that in us is divine humor. We can, in the state of divine being in I, conscious, see, feel, and know the truth in full order in being, and that is to see life pure, good, unconditional, in its onward hope to readjust in all the truth. We react in him alive, sure, simple, and natural. He is the pure love being, in love with life, in love with all and any show in the human creature, designs into life the truth as the form in which we know to want to become, the form in which we result free, liberated human.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
We then have the winning will to overcome the show of the old pessimist who, as he humorously says, makes the worst of the best. We shall become true optimists and true idealists, the optimist that makes the best of the worst, and the idealist who makes the best of the best. In the new state in consciousness, we make good, feel good, and see good in all in life as it is. The new awakening in man will bring the fruit of hard labor, hard struggle, long-lived longing, long-lived immune-making work in the dual human. Love divine will make the miracle. Sri Baba is poor. He is impersonal in the use of gold and silver. We are supposed to give love while we perform the charitable gesture, and the material gift has to serve merely as a symbol. The fact of giving becomes impersonal when we begin to be unattached to the object that we have cherished as possession. We then realize the difference between giving for sharing and giving for self-satisfaction. It is the same in the work within. We learn to detach ourselves from the act in being when in our own selves we awaken to profess love as life, and in the external act are unselfish. We learn to exchange the personal use of our individual experience with a divine order in being that is unconditional and selfless use of its reactions, and expresses external life unattached to any result, to any self-satisfaction. Do no more than you can feel, says Sri Meher Baba. By premeditated giving, you give parts of yourself, and by feeling in giving, you give of your divine self. He awakens in us the divine wisdom of the heart. No one can do the ultimate good until he has realized the good within. We exchange free and light life impersonal with life personal. The lower mental intuition with our being intuition. We are determined not to resist to the changing work that he in us stirs, adjusts, and forms to new life.
He may reveal himself to the most humble form in consciousness and hide before the most creative, erudite intellects. Blessed are the pure in mind, to them God will reveal in being. The meaning of this thought is pure, wise use in us. pure thinking is that state of stillness of the mind. It is non-reaction in I individual. Stilled in mind, freed from experience, we become conscious of the expansion of pure love, of the pure living exode that is fusion in light winning rhythm of pure indivisible joy. We live life as a child. We then have the blessed state to be pure in mind, rich in heart. It is like playing and being, playing in life with illusion, as a child whose life is an unbroken dream state, whose life is pure exode in breathing, fulfilling unconsciously the unconditional expansion in consciousness without resistance. Baba makes us become humble. He does the act of joining in us life as the individual form in external existence with the inner life in being that in its fulfilling order in awakening works out in us God. He joins God and human life, life individual with life immutable. He liberates us from the ordeal of life in ourselves that in us is dual experience. He merges the opposites into one all form, and that is love that gives and never demands.
We can in no way see above the line of our finite mind. He will lift the veil of ignorance and help us to see the face of God. The veil is the ego. His love does the pure clearing work of the elimination of the ego. We, in our own being, in exchange and consciousness, react in pure winning will to our own qualities. These to us in life, in finite existence, seem crude, harsh, and give pain, and are the cause of our individual misery. They constitute in our own life the problem of individual reaction in experience. We know that life can in no way be seen as truth order as long as man has to react in finite mind in experience. Man is bound to react to the low order in experience of lust, jealousy, anger, greed, avarice. Resigned in him, the redeeming pure form, these low experiences of life finite transmute into pure energy and become the impetus of divine life indivisible. It becomes truth, action in pure winning will. Love in being, joy in being. It becomes the divine action as the unfathomable longing for union with the beloved. He, in his work indivisible, realizes in us life indivisible. He transforms, redeems, resurrects. Awakening in I, conscious, we become fearless and doubtless. We are freed from prejudices, free from divisionary ideas. When man resigns in him, man will realize liberation. His alive breath is our own life in exchange in life and death. As human being, he reflects our life in joy and pain. His pure order in suffering is our own life in him, suffering expiation. His grace performs the work of redemption. Within the realm of pure expansion in divine existence, he is painless, calm, pure bliss. He is like Jesus. He never sleeps. His sleep is indivisible intuition work, indivisible love expansion, uninterrupted conscious action. He loves within, without, above, beyond all and everything, all-knowing, immutable. With his head he feels, with his heart he devises. He says, I do not think, I feel. Sri Meher Baba works still, silent, knowing, from working field to working field, from type to type, from nation to nation. His head includes God, universe, and every individual in being. He will awaken in us the pure need to want to be like him.
So often in still contemplation, sitting in groups around him, we spend hours of supreme inspiration when into the awed stillness of our hearts, his unfathomable words resound, I am the only reality. To someone kneeling before him in adoration, he says, she is all love, no desire. I am above purity. To another among his children, demonstrating love in their own individual way, he says, it is all the same love. Someone of fierce nature, a man insatiable in self-satisfaction of life, spiritually yet immature, too proud to dare to be confronted with one like Sri Meher Baba, who after having met him said, I went determined to oppose. My mind was full of doubts. When I entered the room, I felt disarmed by his look as of a pure child. That experience I can hardly describe. I thought I was going to see a man, but I met someone far above the ordinary. His form, though looking natural and human, was of different texture. He appeared translucent. He knew all about my life as if it were his own. He read my most remote thoughts. He moved within me a realm of feeling which I had ignored. One commonly calls it heart. But it is that real heart which we know only because throughout all life we long for its better feelings. When I told him about my struggles, I saw that my suffering had left traces of its unworthy drama on his face. I had to kiss his compassionate face. I shall never forget his superhuman kindness and tolerance and his childlike humor. We talked about things worldly and matters of every day. I realized that all was the clean, clear expression of some unfathomable, just, and lawful plan which since I have accepted by the grace of faith that he awakened in me. Someone else said to him, as soon as I saw him, I broke out in loud laughter of joy. He and I at once felt like two pals on some vacation game. I embraced him like my nearest friend. He appeared so white. I thought I had dreamt of purity when I was a boy, but I can, for the first time, say I experience purity. Children are more able to recognize him. How often do we witness the intuitive feeling guiding them, making them see what we cannot see? In the most unexpected manner, they are caught in his divine ray. Once, while walking in the private grounds belonging to one of his Swiss disciples, he approached a little girl of 7 picking apples from under a tree. Baba, graciously bending over her, looked deep into her eyes. Startled in awe by the blessing that she had received, she ran to her mother to share her sweet experience, calling out, "Oh, Mummy, Mummy, never has anyone looked at me with so much love."
Wherever he appears, here or there, in east or west, his miraculous body of superhuman texture projects the divine fluid substance with equal grace to respond to the need of all. In New York, in one of the greater gatherings held in the private home of one of Baba's friends, this startling fact happened. Many people are standing in line to pay their respects to him when suddenly Baba, interrupting the ceremony, is pointing to a person standing far back in the crowd, a lady none of us knew. Baba's persistent sign meant for the person to come to meet him before any other. To the message given by one of us, she responded in an embarrassed manner, as if wanting to evade the call apologetically, explaining that she merely had come to accompany a friend. Baba repeats the insistent sign for a second time. Her attitude suddenly changes and she walks towards him as if irresistibly drawn. Baba's hand stretches toward her with visible expression of joy. Her embarrassment grows almost to a state of confusion, which Baba, with the following words, instantaneously counteracts. "Do not worry," he said. "I know everything and I will help you." Involuntarily, she sheds tears. After a few moments, Baba bids her leave, and again she disappears in the crowd while the reception is ordered to continue. He has found an old, needing soul, which for some unfathomable reason that day was due to meet him. A week later, this stranger calls me over the phone. She said, "I am the woman you so graciously introduced to the master. May I come and see you, as something wonderful has happened to me."
On acquaintance, she told me her life story and impressed me with the sorrowful and tragic conditions in her family life because of the hatred between herself and her own child, a girl of 20. Mother and child had persecuted each other for 20 years. The mother said, "I have never been able to understand this, as my child was born in love. Never have I been able to overcome the detestation for my child. I have never felt inclined to kiss her. When the master asked me to meet him, I did not know why. My own unhappiness had become so much of a habit that I did not even know that I was in need of help. When the master greeted me with so much kindness, I did not remember being impressed in any way, not even to have been able to objectively observe him. I was like one in a dream who suddenly wakes up and feels carried off, led by an invisible friend for some good reason. This morning, I was awakened from an unusually deep sleep, bathed in ecstasy of love and bliss. I could not understand what had happened to me. It was so powerfully active, making me react without the use of my will. I rose from my bed and walked into the room of my child, who was still asleep. Drawn by irresistible love, I embraced her. For the first time in both of our lives did we feel a bond that was more than mother love and child love. My experience was contagiously felt in her, and is today a tender relationship which reflects happiness for the whole family. Dear friend, she continued, who is this man? I remember similar stories about Jesus imparting grace of love. I am in you, with you always, he says. If one of us fell ill, he feels it from a distance before we call for help. He cables, advising some cure that he, the knower of all science, diagnosing our condition as no scientific ordinary expert can, knows is right. I have a friend, a Catholic and superstitiously drawn to anyone who demonstrates physical miracles. She was introduced to Baba at a time when very ill, with a tumor in her brain and paralysis of her right arm. Baba is indifferent to demonstrate powers, for whosoever it may be, but he granted her a short audience of only 2 minutes. Without giving her time for explanation or complaints, he passed his hand over her forehead and over her arm, prescribing by the following statement the cure to follow. Do as I say, and I shall heal you. The woman, unaccustomed to conventional formalities, felt shocked at Baba's short and matter-of-fact informal ways. 3 days later, she was attacked by acute fever and had to be taken to the hospital. In the third night, Baba appears before her like a luminous projection. He holds between his fingertips a reddish bullet on which he blows his divine breath and makes it vanish. In that same instant, the woman feels life re-entering her arm. She has a sensation of immediate release in her head. The tumor in her brain, naturally bursting, releases the poisonous matter. The woman is healed. Today, she is one of those who, by reason of a physical miracle, believes in Baba's superhuman existence. We have witnessed more than one physical healing of which this is one of the many. But the spiritual healing, which cannot be reckoned by any science, is of far greater importance to our life in need of resurrection in the spirit. Sri Meher Baba says, I have come not to teach, but to awaken. Sri Baba's internal and external work is all one. While standing before a Christian chapel one Easter morning in Muri, Himalayas, in 1933, he said, all worship returns to me. The sigh within the prayer is the same in the heart of the Christian, the Mohammedan, the Jew. They are indivisibly longing for the same God. They are unconsciously drawn to him. They all unconsciously feel the same, but express it through different languages. There is only one fundamental faith, and that is the pure form of religion which Sri Meher Baba will reawaken in the heart of man.
His word is the will of divine origin. We often realize the immediate effect of the power of his word and wonder in awe over the mysterious reaction. He is uninterrupted conscious action in the mental, subtle, and gross spheres. In the one all pure form of impersonal love, he performs God action. He practices God life. He will create God-like human beings. We earn through him the feeling that we in him participate in the indivisible divine life, that we and God are one pure function, one life, one working will, sharing in the scope of all existence. That living trial one calls life, dissected and used by him, turns to be impersonal blessing. We do no more worry to lose advantages in being bad, nor do we speculate to be good for our own sake. Surrendered in him, good or bad, our contribution in good or bad results immune. Through the blending of head and heart, we earn the impersonal viewpoint. The impersonal viewpoint. In that viewpoint is peace. He does not preach. He gives us the example. He shows us how to be tolerant, to recognize in everyone's individual viewpoint the right yet veiled impersonal standpoint. In a case of two opposite opinions, he, the wise, impartial friend, will turn toward either of the opponents and create in both the same selfless reaction that makes them give in and understand. He will say, how can there be misunderstanding when there is love? The mysterious adjusting power of his word makes personal motives vanish into unimportance, and the pure impersonal standpoint prevails in the tranquilized minds. Some may use strong temper to impose his own will on someone else. To the one who is weak and feels hurt, he will say, why do you feel hurt? And to the other who did willingly or unwillingly create pain, he merely will smile in compassion. We then know he does not teach, he awakens.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Baba.
Hey, Marcia. And Ralph. Welcome.
Thank you, three wonderful readers. Thank you very much for sharing Baba's beautiful words through Norina with us. Jai Mera Baba.
Thank you all.
I love these descriptions she gives. They are extraordinary. I mean, she is gifted. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Baba. So we will confirm our next meeting, and we have everybody's email. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thanks again. Jai Mera Baba.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Yeah, Marcia. You coming down, you mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Soon.
good, good,
Yeah. Me too.
Coming on the blue bus?
good. Oh,
Got lots of fruit on top. Is it fruit or baggage, right?
yeah,
Are you
Baba.
still doing Thursday too? Is this going to be in addition
We're
to
gonna,
Thursday?
we'll confirm. We'll send an email. Jai Baba.